So hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. And I hope everybody's staying safe in today's crazy society right now with everything going on with coronavirus. And I hope that people haven't lost their jobs. I hope that they're able to feed their family. I hope that they're able to come to peace with staying at home and being cramped up with everybody that you probably don't get to see that often, but it's sort of a blessing in disguise that we get to spend a little bit more time with people that we care about and really don't tell them enough. And now's our chance to actually spend some more time with our family members, our siblings, our roommates, and hopefully we'll get on through this sooner rather than later. So, what I'm going to do today, and this will probably last, I'm guessing, about 20 to 30 minutes. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. You can always email me if you've got certain um, individual questions about things going on in your neck of the woods, in your neighborhood, in your zip code, in your price range, or whatever. But we're going to go on through and take a look at some of these different sales statistics down here for each of these categories up here. So we'll look at homes priced from 200,000 to 500,000, priced from 500 to 750, 750 to a million, and then a million or more. And we're also going to look at single family properties. We're going to look at townhouses. We're going to look at condominiums. And then we're going to look at statistics based upon square footage. So we're going to be looking at properties that are 2,000 or less square feet, 2,500 to 4,500, 4,500 to 7,500. I guess the McMansions there, and then properties that are larger than 7,500 square feet. And I'm mainly going to focus on what's happened since the beginning of the year. I think that we're most concerned about right now how the virus is affecting us. It's affecting the economy. It's affecting the real estate market. So back here, we've got January from 2019. I'm not going to be spending a whole lot of time talking about those stats, but I will be talking about stats starting from about December and January of this year through February and March, because we just came out with our March statistics recently. So let me know if anybody has any questions. You can go on to the YouTube Live and you can actually type in the chat box over there. And I'm monitoring that, so I will definitely respond just as soon as I see anything pop on up. Okay, well, let's get started here. Again, we're starting out with single family properties. These are detached single family homes. We're looking at all sizes right now, all number of bedrooms and all years built, all number of bathrooms as well over here. So in the $200,000 to $499,000, $500,000 price range, what we're seeing over here for new listings is an increase in January, and I've spoken about this in my past videos as well, And the number of new listings actually decreased in February, which is, odd. It's peculiar. That normally does not happen in the healthy market. Normally, the number of new listings increases through about June or July of the year. And then they start dropping off in August, September, October, and they totally die off in November and December. So yeah, this did drop off here in February, but thankfully the number of new listings actually has picked up in March. So that's an encouraging sign there. And we're going to see this, I believe, in the different price ranges as well. That was from 200,000 to 500,000. Here's 500,000 to 750,000. So again, actually in this price range, we really didn't see a drop off in the number of new listings from January to February like we did with the lower price range. And again, it continues on upwards for March. For 750,000 to $1 million, again, we really didn't see that drop off in the number of new listings. So I guess people in the lower price ranges slowed down on putting their homes on the market just to see where we were going with this, as opposed to some of the more expensive properties that were coming on the market. So that was pretty interesting. Let's see what happens in the $1 million price range. So in the $1 million or more price range, it's pretty much been flat with the number of new listings hitting the market here. I guess, executives, if they're going to be selling their homes, they're going to sell it no matter what. They've got to, I guess, do corporate reloads, things of that sort. And so they've got to go ahead and put the property on the market, whether or not the economy is good. So we really haven't seen either a spike or a dip in the number of new listings since the beginning of the year. Okay, well, let's go back and in all price ranges now, let's take a look at what's happened with townhouses with the number of new listings. Let's see. The number of new listings for all of the MLS, it definitely increased in January. It dropped in February, and it increased in March. So that's pretty consistent with what we saw with the single family homes. We'll look at the 200,000 to 500,000, and in this price range, it's pretty much been steady, and then it jumps in March in the 500 to 750,000 price range. It dropped a bit in February, but it's increased in March in 750 to $1 million. The number of new listings was sort of stable, but it did drop from February to March. And then $1 million townhouses, you don't see too many of those. There are a couple of them out there in the marketplace, but the number of new listings has dropped substantially in that price range. So the more expensive townhomes, there haven't been a whole ton of them coming on the market at this point. Okay, we'll take a look at condos now. Okay, condos pretty consistent with what happened with single family homes and townhomes, the drop in February and the increase in March. Same thing with the lower priced condos, 500,000 to 750,000. Well, we're seeing a dip in the number of new listings for condos in this price range from 500 to 750,000, and then from 750, look at that. We had 14 new condos in that price range come on the market in January, only 7 in February, and then March we had 18 hit the market. So that's a good sign that we've got some more expensive condos hitting the market right now. And then $1 million condos, 21 in January, February 26, and then it's dropped off in March. Okay, so let's see. Let's take a look at what's happening with the number of homes on the market in all price ranges and all different types. So the number of homes, let's see, dropped a little bit from December to January, definitely dropped in February, has picked on up in March. Let's see what's happening with townhouses. Same thing, dropped a little bit in February, picking up in March. And how about condos? Consistent with what's been happening with single family and townhomes. Drops a little bit in February, picks up in March. Let's take a look and see if anything's happening price-wise with the number of homes for sale. We'll look at single family first. That's consistent. The drop in February, the rise in March. And this is for single family properties. 500,000, pretty stable and increased in March. A consistent increase in the number of more expensive homes that are on the market right now. And then $1 million homes, yep, a consistent increase. This is going to lead me to believe that months of supply are probably going to be going on up a little bit. And that will probably hold true more so for the more expensive properties. And we'll get down to this months of supply in just a minute. Okay, so let's take a look at the number of townhouses that are currently on the market. And we've got 2,200 townhouses on the market in January, about the same, slightly less in February, and about 2,400 townhouses on the market in March. Let's see, townhouses from 200 to 500,000. We've got 1,270 that were on the market in January, about the same in February, and 1,400 in March. Look at this. So 347 townhouses priced from 500 to 750,000 in January, about the same in February, and almost 400 in March. That's pretty normal, I would say. You know, March, you're going to start seeing more of the properties hit the market. Wow, 750 to 1 million. 86 in January, 85 in February, and 83 in March. So there really hasn't been an increase in the number of homes for sale. It's been pretty steady for townhouses from 750 to 1 million. And then 1 million or more, 48 in January, 46 in February, and 47 in March. Pretty consistent. Okay, how about let's take a look at condos. in all price ranges, pretty standard with what's been happening. 1,354 in January, 1,291 in February, 1,400 in March. Some of the lower priced condos, pretty stable, slightly more in March, 500 to 750. Pretty much the trend that we're seeing here. And then 750 to $1 million. So we're definitely seeing a little bit of a spike, just a little bit of a spike in March. That's condos priced from 750 to $1 million. And then $1 million or more, 60 in January, 69 in February, and 76 in March. Okay, how about let's check out the number of pending sales. And this is for all property types right now, in all price ranges, all size properties here. So what we're seeing, an increase from December to January of 7,400 pending sales in January, an increase in February, and then a decrease in March. So the number of pending sales in March have declined from February. And I mentioned this in my last video. I think that it's because people are putting the brake right now. Not so much the brake, but they're actually assessing the economy right now. They're assessing their employment, whether that's going to continue, before they go ahead and jump into a property. So, you know, it's, I guess, what you would expect with a pandemic going around right now. So I don't think that it's anything out of the ordinary. Hopefully, when the number of cases starts dying down and people start getting back to work, the number of pendings is going to go on up. Now, whether that's going to be April or whether it's going to be May, that's the unknown right now. But, you know, from what they're saying, with social distancing going on, most likely until the end of May, beginning of June, that's when we'll probably start seeing the number of pending sales trend back on up. So, all right, well, let's look at to see if there's anything strange or anything peculiar going on here with any of these categories here and price ranges. So we'll take a look at the residential detached single family homes. Pretty standard with what's been happening. 3,700 pending sales in January, 4,000 in February, and then 3,900 in March for 200,000 to 500,000 price range. Let's look at 500,000 to 750, and the number of pendings definitely dropped off a good bit in March in that price range for single family homes. All right, 750 to $1 million. And again, it dropped off in March, and then $1 million or more. Well, you had 139 pending sales for single family in January, 171 in February, and then 100 in March. So there was definitely a big drop off in $1 million sales or $1 million contracts written in March. So people are definitely slowing down a little bit right now. Let's look at townhouses. In all price ranges, pretty flat to February and dropping in March. So townhouse sales have been dropping from January to February and March in the $200,000 to $500,000 price range. They actually increased a little bit in February for 500,000 to 750,000, and then dropped in March. And then 750 to $1 million. They spiked a little bit in February, but they've definitely dropped off. And that's a pretty big drop there for townhouses priced from 750 to $1 million. The number of townhouses that have actually gone under contract, that's dropped a good bit there. And then $1 million or more, it's definitely dropped in March. All right, let's look at condos, number of pending sales. In all price ranges, it was pretty flat in February and then dropped off in March to 372. So from 200,000 to 499,000. So from 200,000 to 499. Let's see, we've got 265 pending sales in January. We've got 276 in February, and then this drops off in March. And these are condos priced from 200,000 to 500,000. These are pending sales as well. From 500 to 750, 25 in January, 30 in February, and 18 in March. From 750 to $1 million. Wow. There were only 5 condos that went under contract in January from 750 to $1 million. That's pretty small number there. But it looks like there aren't a whole lot in that price range that go under contract in any given month. But 5 in January, 3 in February, and 3 in March. So in all of Atlanta, condos priced from 750 to $1 million, there are only 3 contracts on all of the condos in that price range in March. Not a lot, but it's probably not a huge market. And then $1 million or more, we had 6 contracts on condos in January, 7 in February, and then only 1 contract on $1 million or more condominium in all of Atlanta in March. But I tell you what, there were more contracts in January and February for $1 million or more than there were for 750,000 to $1 million. So only 1 contract. There you go. $1 million. Okay. Let us look now at the number of closed sales for these properties. And again, feel free to ask any questions. Okay, so we are looking at all price ranges, all property types, single family, townhouses, condos, and all sizes here. And these are closed sales. January, we saw 5,500 sales, February 6,400, and March 7,300. So this is a good sign. I talk about this in previous videos as well, that you don't see the dip like we saw with the pending sales. The number of closed sales is continuing on up. So that's a good sign. People who have already had contracts on their properties are actually going ahead and closing on them. So that's good news. The people in the market right now are wondering whether or not they should move forward with something and put a contract on it or wait. But the people who have actually had contracts on properties in the marketplace are actually closing on them. So that's great. Okay, we will look at single family detached.
That's good news.
From 200 to 500,000. These are continuing up. We had 2,600 in January, 3,200 in February, and about 4,000 in March. From 200 to 500,000, from 500 to 750. We had 345 in January, 393 in February, and then 574 in March. So that was a nice spike there from 500 to 750. It's a healthy sign to see. From 750 to a million, 89, 119, and this looks like it's starting to slow a tiny bit from February to March in that price range for single family homes. A million or more, 83 in January, 89 in February, and 122 in March. So that's a good sign. $1 million homes look like they have been closing. So that's good news in that price range. Okay, we will look at townhouses, and this is the number of closed sales again. So in all price ranges, 620 in January, 755 in February, and then 818 in March. From 200 to 500,000, 339, 470, and 487. Slowing a tiny bit there. And these are townhouses from 200 to 500,000. And then look at this, 500,000 to 750,000, 33 in January, 42 in February, and then 66 in March. That's a nice steep climb there. So I think when people are building townhouses nowadays, they're generally not building the lesser expensive townhouses. They're building townhouses probably, I would say, in that 400 to at least $600,000, $700,000 price range right now. You don't see a ton of townhouses being built less than about 300,000 or so. That's pretty rare nowadays. So 500 to 750,000. That's a nice pickup there. 750 to a million. That's a little slow right there. But, you know, traditionally there haven't been a whole slew of townhouses in that price range that have closed in any given month. So it's a rarer market. And then $1 million townhouses, 3 in January, 6 in February, and 6 in March. Okay, we're going to look at condos, the number of closed sales here. Well, let's see. Kerwin over here has a question. What areas do you see the strongest growth? Well, it's a great question. Areas that are exhibiting the strongest growth right now are probably going to be anything close to the Atlanta Beltline. In town is really, really hot right now. Well, not so much right now, but it has been for the last probably 3, 4 years. People are moving back in town. They're moving towards areas around the Atlanta Beltline right now because it just affords a really neat quality of life. And there are so many different businesses that were opening on up around the Atlanta Beltline. It was definitely spurring a lot of growth, a lot of amenities, a lot of new construction, single family homes, and also apartments and condominiums. So areas like Old Fourth Ward, Inman Park, um, some areas on the south side. Um, you have areas along the west side Beltline, such as Adair's Park, um, West End, and then some of the areas that are just north of West End that have been exhibiting a lot of sales right now. Lots of renovations going on right now in those areas. And then people that have owned homes in those areas for years and years, they're making a lot of money when they go to sell. But the thing is, everything has gone up so much in price that it's tough to try and find something else to replace it with unless you go outside the perimeter. So great question, Kerwin. Appreciate that. And I will respond to that in just a little bit. So, all right, let's get back here and take a look at condos in all price ranges, all sizes. And what we've got from January, we had 354 sales, 450 in February, and then 489 in March. That's a pretty healthy curve there. 200,000 to 500,000. Good curve there. 500,000 to 750. That's just a really hot price range right now. Is 500 to 750. Whether we're talking about condos. Look at that. That's a nice steep climb there for the number of closed sales in March. So whether it's condos, townhouses, or single family, this price range right here from 500 to 750, it's pretty healthy right now. You know, the same goes for, anything under 500,000 as well. Once we get to this 750 to a million, whether we're talking about single family, townhouses, or condos, if it will come on up. Come on, crunch those numbers. Well, it's trying to crunch those numbers. Let me get back to townhouses and see if I can do this again. Not sure why we're having difficulty with condos in that price range, but I can probably let you know that it's going to be relatively the same there. And then okay, so let's move on. Pardon me. Today's on market. Well, we sort of are having a little bit of difficulty crunching the numbers right now. Let's see. Months of supply. Okay. Thank you. We'll take a look at months of supply. But I did a video on days on market, and days on market are really healthy in most price ranges right now. I mean, they were looking probably, I think, about the mid 20s or so in March. Once properties came on the market, it was only taking about 20 or so days for them to go under contract. So that's good. When you get up to these higher price ranges, though, the days on market definitely goes up a little bit. And then anything that's $1 million or more, days on market are going to be definitely a little bit more substantial. And so months of supply, let's take a look at that. For single family homes, we've got 2.6. And let me start out by saying anything under about 4 months or so is going to be a seller's market. Anything from 4 to 6 is going to be pretty much a neutral, healthy market. And then anything over 6 is going to be a buyer's market. And we haven't seen the buyer's market for a little bit now, probably several years. But we are looking at single family homes in all price ranges right now, all sizes. So in January, 2.6, again, anything under 4 is a seller's market. 2.5 in February, and then 2.7 in March, just because I think, you know, some more homes came on the market in March. Let's see. In the 200 to 500,000 price range, 2.5, 2.3, 2.5. In the 500 to 750. Well, we've got a little bit more supply in this price range. We've got 4 months of supply in January, slightly less in February, and then 4.4 in March. So a little bit more, but then again, you know, I mean, there are a number of $500,000 to $750,000 homes that come on the market in March. 750 to $1 million, 5.4 in January, 5.7 in February. And now in March, we've actually got 6.6 months of supply in March. So this is starting to trend towards a buyer's market over here in this price range. Single family from 750 to $1 million. So if you're in that market, it's a good time to buy. Interest rates are some of the lowest rates we've ever seen. So give me a ring, call me up. Let me try and find you a great deal in that price range. I'll find you a great deal in any price range, but 750 to $1 million, you're probably going to start seeing, you know, some decent deals hitting the market soon. Or actually, the properties that are on the market right now, they're going to start dropping some prices, I think. Okay, $1 million or more. Well, we've got 8.7 months of supply in January, 8.9 in February, 9.8 in March. So we're starting to see definitely the number of $1 million homes on the markets increasing. It's normal this time of year to start seeing months of supply start climbing because you do have more homes hitting the market. And, you know, that coupled with the fact that there are less buyers willing to pull the trigger right now is going to have an effect on the number of months of supply. So that's probably going to continue on up for a little bit, especially in this $1 million or more price range. All right, let's take a look at months of supply of townhouses in all price ranges. Got 2.6 in January, 2.5 in February, and then 2.8 in March. We'll look at 200,000 to 500,000. We've got 2.6 months of supply. Again, a seller's market for townhouses priced from 200,000 to 500,000. 2.6 months of supply in January. Again, in February, and going up slightly in March over here. So it's still a healthy seller's market. If you own a townhouse in the $200,000 to $500,000 price range and you're looking to sell, it's definitely still a seller's market. 500,000 to 750,000. Now we're starting to see a little bit more equilibrium in the market in this price range for townhouses from 500,000 to 750. 5.2 months of supply in January, 5.2 months of supply in February, and a little jump there in March. Again, March, April, May, June, July, you're going to see some months of supply probably start increasing just because the number of townhomes are going to increase that we're going to see on the marketplace. So this right here, it's I'm going to say it's not a buyer's or a seller's market, but it's definitely trending more towards a buyer's market. If you're looking for a townhouse in this 500 to 750 price range, I would definitely be trying to negotiate a little bit more. You might be able to knock a seller down a tiny bit more than you would expect. So again, give me up a ring. All right, 750 to $1 million for townhouses, 6.5 months of supply, 5.7 months of supply. So it actually dropped in February and it's remained about the same. So the months of supply for townhouses in this 750 to $1 million price range is actually better than it is in the 500 to 750. So, this I would say is just a little bit weaker than this price range right now. But all of that can change. These are just March statistics for the most part, January through March. So anything can happen from April through July. So, and then $1 million townhouse month of supply, we've got plenty of them. We've got 8.1 in January, 7.4 in February, and then 7.7 in March. So if you're looking to purchase a really nice townhome, it's definitely a buyer's market at this point. You can definitely do some negotiating in that price range. All right, so that was months of supply. Days on market, you're gonna, oh, look at that. We've got days on market back now. I'm gonna come on back to days on market and we'll just take a quick run on through here. Feel free to ask any questions if you'd like. And we will get to those in just a little bit. So days on market. Let's look at the median days on market. Pardon me. And we will look at all price ranges. Oh no! All property types. Okay, there we go. And all sizes. So, and these are the median days on market, which of course means that half of the properties took less than 36 days to sell and half of them took more than 36 days to sell. So January was 36 days was the median. February was 35. And then March, as mentioned, was about 24. So days on market has dropped in March. It's a good sign. Let's look at single family. Thank you. In all price ranges, Okay, that's dropped. How about 200 to 500,000? That's dropped. 500 to 750. 55 in January, 47 in February, 23 in March. So, I mean, it's still healthy. 42 in January, 63 in February. Definitely spiked a bit there in January for 750,000 to 1 million single family homes. Wow, what a drop there. From 63 to 27. But again, we're talking about the median, okay? If we take a look at average, yeah, you see, if we take a look at average days on market, that's 62 in March, as opposed to the median, which is 27. So, there were a number of properties that sold pretty quick, and then a number of them that sold that took a lot longer to sell in March for single family between 750 and 1 million. Okay, and 1 million or more. Let's see, we've got the median was 53 in January, 55 in February, and it dropped to 40 days in March. That's amazing. $1 million homes, the median days on market was 40. I mean, I remember, back in the recession, and even before the recession, 2008 through about 2013. I mean, we had $1 million homes sitting on the market for hundreds of days. So to see this median at 40 days, that's exciting. I mean, I guess, when you're talking $1 million home in Atlanta versus $1 million home in California, I mean, they're two different things. So people from California always call me up and say, I can't believe how much you can buy in Atlanta for $1 million. That's why a lot of people are moving down to California and they're moving to Georgia. Same thing with New York. You got a lot of people moving down from New York, a lot of people from Chicago, a lot of people from the Northeast. And then you got some people from Florida that are they're tired of the heat in Florida and they're moving on up to Georgia. So Georgia's still a great place to live. It really is. I highly suggest moving here to Georgia and giving me a ring. Okay, let's look at days on market for townhouses. We are looking at all price ranges of townhouses right now, and these are the median days on market. 36 in January, 29 in February, and 25. Townhouses are selling. Townhouses have been hot for the last several years. People like townhouses, and builders are building them. So, I mean, they're proving to be pretty good investments. I mean, normally I would say go for a single family house, but hey, if a townhouse floats the boat and everything, man, don't be afraid to jump into a townhouse. If you want low maintenance, you want minimal yard to take care of, townhouses they're a good option for you. Okay, we're going to look at townhouses from 200 to 500,000 days on market. 49 January, 31 February, 27 March. And I'm just looking to see if there's anything out of the ordinary here. 43 in January, 54 in February, and 53. So this market's just a little bit softer. 500,000 to 750,000 days on market, just taking a little bit longer. And then 750 to 1 million. Wow. 15 days on market. And we're talking about the median here in January. Wow, 64. So it definitely jumped a good bit in February, and it jumped a good bit in March. So Yeah, the days on market definitely increased a good bit. 750,000 to a million. And we're talking about townhouses here. That's the median days on market. Let's take a look at the average. So 38 in January, 76 in February, and 119 in March. So this price range in townhouses is a little bit softer right now. They're taking a little bit longer to sell. If you've got a townhouse in the 750 to $1 million price range, this trend's going on up here a little bit. Let's take a look at 500 to 750. And now we're talking about the average days on market. 86, 104, 96 coming on down. So yeah, I mean, single family homes most likely are gonna sell quicker than townhouses. If you're in the same price range for the most part. But I would still say, hey, townhouses, if it suits your needs, don't be opposed to buying a townhouse. If you want low maintenance, you want low yard upkeep, things of that sort, it'll work for you. And if you don't mind stairs, of course, because anytime that you're dealing with a townhouse, you're most likely dealing with at least a 2 or 3 level townhouse. So you're going to be dealing with stairs. You don't see a whole lot of people that are 50 plus buying townhouses. You see them mostly, I would say probably about 25 to 45, 50 years old or so. You'll find that the older people, the elderly, they'll generally either buy a condo, they'll buy a single family residence that's on a smaller lot. And of course, nowadays, the 55 plus active adult communities, they're really, really popular right now. I know several builders that are just hitting it out of the ballpark, building exclusively, homes for active adults, 55 plus right now. And that's a hot market. These properties are flying off the shelf right now for the most part. And builders are getting good money for them too. So we'll do that in another video. Okay, let's take a look at condos. Median days on market. Let's see. 47 January, 34 February, 23 in March, from 200 to 500,000, from 500,000 to 750. Median days 70, 64 and 28. From 750 to a million. 149. Wow. 149 days on market in January. And then look at that, it drops to 31 days in February and increases a little bit to 55 in March. Let's see what the average is for condos priced from 750,000 to a million. Wow, 149 in January, 72 in February, and 78. Yeah, so that's a little bit softer price range if you're looking at condos, 750 to a million. And then let's look at, come on, work with me, bro. Work with me. Crunch those numbers, crunch them, crunch them, crunch them. Come on, we're almost done here. We're almost done. Thanks for everybody that's been hanging in here. Appreciate it. Well, you don't want to crunch those numbers for me, huh? Either average or median. Okay, well, I think we've covered pretty much just about all of that. What I'm going to end on here is the percentage of list price to sales price. It's the list price to sales price ratio, and this just shows when somebody prices a home at a certain list price, what they're actually getting when they sell the property. And we call this the list to sales price ratio. And anything generally, traditionally in the past, it's been anything over, I guess, about 95, 96%. It's a good sale. You've done well. You've gotten, about 96, 97% of your list price. So your agent did good for you. You priced it well to begin with, and it probably sold relatively quickly. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the median list price to sales price ratio for all property types and all sizes. So in January, look at that, 98.5%. Sellers are getting pretty much what they're asking for the most part in this market. I mean, that's strong. 98.5% in January. February, 98.8%. March, 99.2%. Now we're talking about single family homes, we're talking about townhouses, and we're talking about condos in all price ranges. And sellers are getting 99.2%. Sorry about that. 99.2% of what they're asking. That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay. Let's look at single family. You don't want to work with me right now. Townhouses or condos, but all property types is working. So why don't we just say, let's end it here. And since we're having trouble crunching the numbers, and let's see, let's open it up. Anybody have any questions? Let me know. Let's see. Kerwin, what about Atlanta versus Nashville? Well, Kerwin, I'm not really 100% sure what's going on in Nashville. I know that Tennessee did have a pretty strong market previously. I would assume that Nashville is doing well, but I'm not licensed in Nashville and I've never sold in Tennessee. So I wouldn't know what to tell you about that. I'm sure that you can probably just jump online and just Google the market or just, talk with a realtor that works that marketplace. But I do know that Atlanta's really, really strong. It's, in a setback right now with everything going on, but it's going to come back around. It's going to recuperate. We're going to have pent up demand once we get through the number of new cases of coronavirus and we drop that apex and, get on the other side of the curve there and things start loosening up a little bit. People are going to get back out there. They're going to be putting contracts down. There's no reason not to. The underlying economic factors and real estate market factors were good the beginning of the year to begin with. And, outside of this crazy anomaly, I think that the real estate market is definitely going to come back and perform really well starting in May and June. So thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you tuning on in. Please definitely give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel down below, leave some comments, let us know your thoughts on what you're seeing in the marketplace. And, of course, if you're looking to buy or sell a house in Atlanta, definitely give Craig Levine a ring. My phone number is 678-898-4001. You can reach me at craig@craigsellshomes.com and visit craigsellshomes.com for the best real estate deals in Atlanta when they hit the market. Thanks again. Appreciate you. Take care. And until next time, stay safe. Bye.